is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven son. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching and participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final Phatts TV of 2022. Hopefully it was a good year. We don't do that year in review shit. We could care less. We always look to the future until we replay our Christmas song from a couple years ago, or bring back the story, or bring back the killing grandma kind of thing. But anyway, welcome to Phatts TV, Friday night, December the 30th. I am the one, the only. God certainly broke the fucking mold after he made me. He's like, yeah, we ain't making another one of them. PA Phatts, and in the upper left-hand portion of the screen, deep in the heart of Center County, Pennsylvania, there was a lot of sirens going on just a couple of minutes ago. I don't know if the cops are going to burst in. I don't know if it's the FBI. I don't know if it's the local police. It could be fire. It could be ambulance. They might be coming to take him away. The one, the only, the non-genetically proven son.
You know who it is? You know who it is?
They think they found where Jimmy Hoffa was buried.
No.
Okay.
They found. Ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Mr. Pickles!
Mr. Pickles! All right, that was a surprise. Wasn't expecting that. Mr. Pickles was not expecting that. So, about half an hour ago, I finally got the rundown of topics for the show tonight. So as usual, no time to prepare.
I was enjoying the gorgeous weather we had today.
Yes.
2 days before the new year.
Yes, it's amazing. 1 week ago right now, it felt like about minus 25 up there.
And it was 53 today.
So, nice, almost 80-degree temperature feel difference.
So it felt nice. We went out for walks, fed ducks, walked around town a little bit.
Where is there ducks up there? I gotta know.
There's a river in Belfont, and there's hundreds upon hundreds of ducks that go there every day. So I had a duck army.
I had a duck. How did you walk to Belfont?
No, we drove there.
Okay. I was gonna say I would be impressed if you walked to Belfont.
I mean, it's only like 2 or 3 miles.
It is, but I know how lazy you've become.
All right. Kiana says hi from the other room.
Kiana says hi from the other room. Actually, I just see she says hi. I do not see where it says from the other room. Okay, then. Alrighty. So, reading down the script of tonight's show, I'm going to deviate from it right from the start.
All right.
We're going to talk about something we've never talked about on this show before. Fantasy football.
I don't want to talk fantasy.
So we're both in fantasy football leagues. Actually, we're both in 2 fantasy football leagues. We made the playoffs. He made the playoffs in the 1 fantasy football league. First season ever playing fantasy football. He made the playoffs. Let's give him a round of applause for it. Don't clap for yourself. Don't clap for yourself.
And I should be in the final.
I, as usual, in the other league, make the playoffs every year because I have a pretty killer team. You're allowed to keep 2 players.
You get 2 keepers, and you keep Derrick Henry and like Stephon Diggs. You
Okay.
keep like the two best position players in their position. Maybe like Cooper Kupp.
Stephon Diggs is certainly not the best player at his position. That would be Justin Jeffers, whatever his name is.
Maybe you have him then.
I have him in the other league.
So, but you have a top 5 receiver and probably the best consistent running back over a period of time.
I just know how to draft.
And then you pick a quarterback. You go and get Joe Burrow, who passes for 450 yards every week.
But he was my second quarterback that I drafted. Everybody, and I didn't draft him to like round 10, so everybody had the chance to draft him. Everybody.
I mean, I had Josh Allen.
Yeah. So everybody had the chance to draft him in multiple rounds. Like I said, I picked him up in like round 10.
Just why one high running back pick ended up busting because his line is paper.
Right. So I made the finals, and guess who didn't play? Derrick Henry. I mean, if you look at my starting lineup, all but one player is in the top 10 in scoring in his position.
Right.
Yes, I even have Justin Tucker because I drafted kicker a little bit early. Our league is not the traditional points league, that league. It's not the traditional points. You get bonus points for everything. If you could somehow piss blue Gatorade, you get like 60 bonus points.
I mean, I think one game Justin Tucker had like 5 field goals and he scored like 45 points for you.
No, it was probably more than that.
60 points. Because he had like 2 or 3 over 50 yards. You get like 15 points.
Yeah, I probably got about 70 points for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, if they piss blue Gatorade, you get like 60 bonus points. It's like but yeah, no, if you pass for 400 yards, it's like 75 bonus points. Like, it's a very high scoring league. The other league is very traditional.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't look at the point scoring before that league started, so I sucked. Although, I did have the same record as you did, but you beat me in the tiebreaker to make the playoffs, and somehow you won your first round.
Yeah. So, typical, if you score over like 140, you're probably doing pretty good.
In that league, yes. Yes. In the other league, if you score 140, you're way in last.
Yeah, if you score 400 in the other league, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Doing good. In that league, if you score 130, 140, 150, you're gonna win most of your games.
Yes.
I won by 3 with 174.
Yes.
Yes. I felt it's almost like one of those you almost feel bad because like every one of my players overplayed double what they were projected to get, basically.
Right. Right.
At least like my receivers and my running backs. Yeah.
And then karma came back to get you in the semis.
When I needed, so it was either Jared Goff, who I wanted to play.
Put your microphone a little closer to you.
How about that?
Super.
I wanted to play Jared Goff last week.
Yeah.
Because that's just my gut feeling. But we like to a little bit of, help. Use ESPN, see, who people think are going to do better. My other quarterback is Justin Fields. Doing good this year. Justin Fields was projected to be the 3rd best quarterback last week. Goff was like 20th. So I played Justin Fields. Well, Goff scored 54 points.
Yeah. And Justin Fields scored like 18.
3.
You lost by 2.
2. I needed Pittman to have 10 points. And, of course, since Nick Foles played, they didn't target him ever. I mean, it doesn't help he got double-teamed the whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was multiple times where you could have laid it down to Pittman. Like, for a 2-yard game, 3-yard game. Like, he was always looking to bomb it. You won the Super Bowl! Do you not know what you're doing? Like, who else did that? Another quarterback was trying to do that. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, well,
Like, there was multiple times. I have Jerry Jeudy. I'm not saying it was always Jerry Jeudy, but, like, pitch it down for 6 yards. That's fine.
Yes. So, you're going to finish as a semifinalist, 3rd, 4th in the league, so congratulations again. First year playing fantasy football. I remember my first year playing fantasy football. I finished last. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
A while ago, but I didn't pay attention to it at all.
Right. I am in the finals of mine thanks to, like, Derrick Henry was projected to get me, like, 71 points. So I'm probably going to finish 2nd. That will be 6 straight years I've either finished first or second. I'm like Tom Brady. Tom Brady in his prime, not Tom Brady now.
Cheat. No keepers, you don't do that.
I just know how to draft in that league. I know how to draft. Like,
you get lucky that none of your players ever get on IR.
Well, no, you know, well, yeah, but I've had years where I've had a lot of players on injury reserve. But the key is like so many people in that league don't pay attention. You know, like it's we're just a bunch of idiots that don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Right.
You know, if it was a professional fantasy, you know, if it was professional, I probably wouldn't be doing that good. But like what people do is they'll take the rankings and just, oh, he's the best available, so I gotta take him. Oh, he's the best available, I gotta take him. I don't do that. I'm looking down at the names. You know, like I put a little bit of effort into this. Like I know, hey, he's gonna be, you know, projected as the number 1 receiver for this team. He's got a good quarterback. They're not projected to have a great season, so the quarterback's going to be passing more. I like to take running backs on teams that are, you know, projected to do good because they'll probably have more rushing yards because they'll be winning more games, blah, 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 blah. I like to, in our league, like I said, bonus points are everything. Defenses, you can get lots of bonus points. So I try to take a defense early. I take kickers a little bit earlier than most people because kickers in our league can get lots of bonus points. Where people are stocking up on 4th, 5th, you know, 4 and 5 wide receivers, I'm not doing that till the later rounds because 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to play them anyway.
Right.
So, I made the finals. I'm probably going to lose in the finals thanks to Derrick Henry not playing.
Another good example, I picked up Justin Tucker on free agency in week 12.
Right, because somebody dropped him in that week or the week before when he had his bye.
Like, why? You know.
Right.
You don't do that.
Right. Yeah,
Just
you don't drop your number 1 kicker just because your kicker is on a bye because there's somebody else on your bench that you're not playing.
Right.
Drop him.
Pick up your 3rd running back to put him on the bench.
Right. Right. I mean, unless you absolutely had no other choice, but in that league, there's a lot of bench players. You could have easily snuck somebody out into free agency, and chances are they weren't going to be picked up. But what did they think? Oh, who looks to pick up a kicker?
He was the number 1 player available.
Right. Right.
Like, it wasn't just number 1 kicker. Like, you went up top overall. Justin Tucker was number 1. I'm just like, okay, I'll pick him up.
Yes. So, we're finally getting into the good part of the college football bowl season.
Yay! Have you watched a single bowl game?
I've watched a couple plays here and there.
I wish I did watch Arkansas, Kansas. That looked like a good game.
You know, Kansas made a really good, strong 4th quarter comeback, especially with under 5 minutes to go. They recovered an onside kick where basically Arkansas just basically let them recover the onside kick. I don't know if you saw that.
No, maybe they had money on it. Maybe the Black Sox.
It literally like got through the first line, and the guy who was supposed to go get the ball just kind of watched it. Yeah, it was weird. And then in double overtime, Kansas scored, and they have to go for 2 now in the second overtime. Like, you have to go for 2. And I believe it was Arkansas committed 2 penalties on the 2-point conversion. So Kansas had like 3 attempts to make it. Wow. It was either that or Kansas committed 2 penalties and let Arkansas try it for it 3 times. And unlike Penn State, who couldn't make a 2-point conversion in 8 attempts the year before.
Literally.
So, there's a couple big bowl games. After this, we'll talk about the playoffs. Playoffs. So, I have the Barstool app.
We're talking about practice.
By the way, Notre Dame is up by 7 with a minute and a half to go.
This was one game I really liked. I told him before the show that South Carolina would have been on my picks this week, but I couldn't take them. They started before the show. But they were one of my plays. If you've been watching, long-time viewer, you'll know ever since about week 10, I've been loving South Carolina. top 10 team. They are losing, though.
They are. So, not counting the 2 playoff games.
Yes.
And we're not going to talk about the Penn State-Utah game at the moment. We'll get to that, too. What bowl game is kind of like, are you zeroing in on that you're most excited to watch?
I
mean, for me, I'm looking forward to Monday. Start off with Tulane USC. Now that USC starting quarterback is playing,
Tulane USC was up there. I'm not sure how much USC is going to be up for this game. Tulane's going to play hard. They're going to play tough. I don't know. Is USC going to care? They know if they won, they're in.
Well, so let me put it to you this way. Their quarterback, who has a hamstring injury, is now listed as probable, where he could have just easily said no.
True. So that means he's going to try, but the quarterback can't win the game.
Right. But the quarterback is the leader on the field, so I think, and you might see this a little bit later when we go over some picks, hint, hint. Offensively, I think USC is coming to play.
And if they do, they should win the game fairly easily.
I mean, it's interesting that the line is only 2.
Yeah.
So somebody knows something.
I think...
Go ahead.
Keep going if you have something else to say.
I was just going to say the over-under's at 63.5.
I think Alabama-Kansas State could be a little sneaky. I think it could be a better game than maybe projected to be.
See, now that's a game where you don't know how Alabama's going to feel.
Yeah, that's where I think Kansas State is actually better than some people do think.
And you gotta think that Kansas State is going to come to play. Hey, you have the chance to beat Alabama in a bowl game. You're going to come to play.
That's the thing. Does Alabama care?
Right.
Maybe. They have like 44 5-star. Like, do they care? Probably not. I mean, do we even know who's playing for them?
No. I don't.
I just think that could be a sneaky close game. And, it is Alabama only -7.
Right.
So it's not double digits.
Actually,
Here's a game
at Barstool, it's 7.5.
This is a game that could be good, but a toilet. Iowa, Kentucky.
Well, we're going to talk about that game a little bit later.
Okay, we'll get there.
I want to save that because you might see that a couple times later. Hint, hint. Hint, hint. Or once later. Hint, hint. Maybe twice. Hint, hint. Hint, hint. So tonight, right after we're done here, you have Tennessee and Clemson. See, now you got, the battle of the backup quarterbacks. Tennessee's starting quarterback out, and Ugule under the boardwalk Opia, whatever the hell his name is. Is it Ugule under the boardwalk Opia? Is that how you say his name?
Like that, yeah, like that. Sure.
Did he announce where he's going? He announced, didn't he?
Who knows? Who cares? He sucks.
I think he announced where he's going to.
Here, hold up. Time out.
Everybody stop!
Did he announce?
Please wait for the next available operator.
Oregon State.
That's right, Oregon State.
So he's going from a national title contender in Clemson to a team that's going to finish 3rd in their division, 4th in their division.
Yeah, well.
He's not a good quarterback. So their backup's actually probably better, but Tennessee is very good offensively.
They are.
The problem is without Hooker, they're about probably half of what they
Did you say the quarterback's a hooker?
The quarterback's name is Hooker.
Oh, I thought you said the quarterback's a hooker.
Maybe he is.
Hey, pimping ain't easy.
I don't really care about the game because I think it's kind of just boring. I mean, I never liked watching Clemson, and I don't really care to watch Tennessee either.
Right.
I liked watching Tennessee-Alabama. That was a good game. That was fun to watch.
That was a good game. I mean,
I never liked watching Clemson. I don't want to watch.
if the
Clemson.
hooker was playing, it would be a better game.
The only reason I'd be watching Clemson is if Penn State was playing.
Yeah, Clemson is not an exciting team to watch. Let's face it.
No, they're not.
No.
They play very boring ball. And it's effective ball, but it's
They
boring.
do. And you know, if certain things didn't happen, Penn State may have been in this game.
I projected them to be in that game.
You did. You did. And we would be doing a very fast Phatts TV tonight.
We would be.
Yes. Yes. So then on Monday, you have what could be a very emotional game. You have Mississippi State and Illinois.
I don't know much about the game.
Mississippi State's coach passing away recently.
So could be, but we saw how emotional the Steelers were.
Yeah, I think it's very different, though, for college and pro. I think Mississippi State will wind up winning the game.
I don't think Illinois is as good as everybody thought they were. They play in the Big Ten West.
They did play in the Big Ten West. Very good.
The top three in the Big Ten East all would have probably went undefeated in the Big Ten West.
Probably. I hear more sirens. That was definitely an FBI car. Definitely an FBI car. You also have now LSU and Purdue. That line has really swelled. Purdue has a bunch of people not playing. LSU is now more than a 2-touchdown favorite in the game.
That game probably shouldn't be with the other games that day.
Well, I mean, there is 3 games on at the same time. Mississippi State.
Who's going to be watching that game over Tulane USC?
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
And everyone after that game is going to turn right into the Rose Bowl.
Well, the Rose Bowl is a standalone game.
Well, except if you just don't like Penn State or a neutral, because neutrals seem to not like Penn State.
So, let's talk about the playoff games.
Playoffs?
So tomorrow, starting at 4, you have Michigan and TCU. Michigan has been pretty much holding at about an 8-point favorite, with an over-under of 58.5. Does TCU have a chance to win this game?
Do they have a chance? Sure. I'll give them a chance. Everyone's got a chance. Are they going to win the game? No. They're not going to score the necessary amount of points to beat Michigan. Figure, what would you say they'd have to score to beat Michigan? I have an idea.
36.
I said 32 plus. They will not touch 30. Michigan might have the best defense in the nation. I'd probably say second best.
Yeah.
And they have 2 insanely good running backs
They do?
with a quarterback that's hot. I don't care if he's good or bad or his receivers are open. So Michigan puts up 40 on them. They probably have over 250 plus rushing yards, to be honest. They'll walk over TCU. I'm not sure they'll cover, to be honest.
Okay.
Like if they're up 17 with 2 minutes to go, or let's say 6 minutes to go, they might play a little prevent and they may not cover.
Well, if they're up 17, they're going to cover with 6 minutes to go. Let's say they're up 14 with 6 minutes to go.
There you go. Let's do 14. Then they may not cover.
Okay.
But I like Michigan to win that game.
Okay.
As much as I don't want to see them in a title game.
So, as much as I said I think TCU needs to score 36 to win the game, the only way I think they win the game is if they find a way to hold Michigan to under 24.
Good luck.
I don't see how TCU scores over 24 in the game. I just don't see it. And therefore, I got to side with Michigan. If I had to pick against the spread, I would actually probably take Michigan. with
I'd
the
say
8.
Michigan too, but I don't love the spread.
I mean, I could easily see this being a 38-20 kind of game. That score sounds familiar. I believe there was a Rose Bowl game played in 1995 where the final score was 38-20.
84 yards, right tackle.
I called it. Called the play. Called the play. You weren't there, but I called the play, I promise. You were not sitting in the bar that I was in, but I promise you I called that play.
Didn't you call it like a week before or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Because it wasn't 80 yards, it was 84.
I did say first play would be Kajana Carter off right tackle, 80-yard touchdown. And he went 84 yards for a touchdown. He broke a tackle, actually a little bit behind the line. And then
once he got past the line, you weren't catching him.
Yeah. And Kajana wound up being one of the biggest draft busts in NFL history.
Did he get injured?
He was always injured. Then at 8 o'clock tomorrow, we got Georgia, Ohio State. The line is about 6. You can find it a little bit different at a couple different websites. Ohio State shouldn't be there.
No. Honestly, nobody should be there.
That's right. Georgia should just get a bye.
I mean, I made the argument that I don't even think Georgia's the number 1 team. I think Michigan's better. On paper. Now, if they play each other, we'll see. I'll have to look into it more. But based on the games that they played this year, I think Michigan's better.
Okay.
They have been more consistent, and they haven't had really any scares except Illinois. Georgia has been all year. They're winning. They're undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, great offense. Might be the best offense in the nation. But they certainly don't even have a top 50 defense.
No.
Their defense is awful. They can't stop anybody.
They can't. Nope.
I just don't see how they're going to score probably the 30-something they need to win this game.
I think they have to score more to win.
I mean, Georgia's probably going to put up close to 40 if you're going to take a wild guess. I think Ohio State's going to run into the problem where they're going to have to start passing the ball too much and they start turning the ball over.
Well, I think their game plan is going to be to pass the ball anyway.
I mean, I think actually a way they can win the game is they got to keep it low score and keep the clock moving. That's their key to victory. Because if they can get a run game going, they got a chance. They have a chance. But they're not going to get a run game going against Georgia's front. Not going to happen.
No.
They're not going to get the push they need to consistently to get a 150-yard rusher. So they're going to have to go to the air. Georgia's going to double team Marvin Harris. And then Jigba or whatever sat out, like, whatever. You do that.
Huge loss. Huge loss.
So they're going to shut down Harris. I mean, he'll still probably have 70, 80 yards catching.
Well, I think he'll have more than that.
Easily, but he won't. He'll be double teamed most of the day. And Jigba not playing, so they're down to number 3. Doesn't have much options to throw it to. Georgia probably gets 6, 7 sacks along the way. And I'll leave it right. I'll just leave it there.
Okay, so force prediction. So using Barstool Sports.
Okay.
Michigan -8 over under 58.5. Georgia -5.5 over under 62.5. If you had $100,000 and had to make one play only, are you taking Michigan minus the points, TCU plus the points? You taking the over or the under? Or are you taking Georgia minus the points, Ohio State plus the points? Or are you taking the over or under?
I will take Georgia.
So if you could only make one play in the game, you would take Georgia -5.5.
I'd be really between Georgia and the over in that game.
If I could only play one, I am taking the over in that game of 62.5. I see. So now let's give our scores. Michigan, TCU, and I want to write this down so I have it. Your final score, Michigan TCU.
31-17.
So 31-17, Michigan. You already heard me say 38-20. And Georgia, Ohio State.
38-23.
38-23. So you think that game stays under by a point. I say 47-36. Georgia.
My only worry with the over in that game is Georgia gets to this lead where they just don't care.
Got it.
Like, where they just get to this point where like, oh, we're up 30, 31-9. Ohio State gets a couple touchdowns and it's a little closer.
I mean, unless if Ohio State has this amazing defensive game plan, let's look at their stats really, really quick here. Let me pull up their stats. So, against teams that can score points, let's say. And let's face it, they really only played two teams that could score points.
Michigan and
Penn State.
I think you're being very generous on Penn State.
I am. They gave up 31 to Penn State and 45 to Michigan. They gave up 43 to Maryland.
They did. Maryland was sometimes sneaky good.
Yes. Now, let's face it.
Got stuff rolling.
Ohio State can score points.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, again, though, who did they play?
Michigan and Penn State. Those are the two good defenses they played.
I mean, I will say they did put up 54 against Iowa. But that was a funky game. There was a lot of turnovers in that game.
That's impressive since Iowa is probably on the same level as Michigan and Penn State.
Yes. We're Georgia. And they put up 50 against LSU. LSU is a pretty good defense.
Not that game, they didn't.
Not that game.
What about Tennessee? What did they beat Tennessee?
Actually, they only beat Tennessee 27-13. I remember that. I remember we looked at the over in that game. And they put up 42 on Florida, 55 on Vanderbilt, 42 on Auburn. Again, not teams that usually score a lot of points. 49 on Oregon in the first game of the season, if you remember.
Take that with however you want. Because Oregon is definitely not that same 49-3 game.
No.
I mean, they did lose to North Carolina.
No, they beat them by a point.
Did they win?
Yeah,
Did they win?
28-27.
Okay, never mind that.
So we both have the same championship game, so we'll see come next Friday, the next sports show, what it is, what the line is. So now let's talk about the Rose Bowl. Interesting. So the very first Rose Bowl game in the building that the Rose Bowl is being played at. It's on Sunday is its 100th anniversary.
Okay.
Penn State played in that game.
And this is the last Rose Bowl. Traditional Rose Bowl in that stadium. And Penn State's playing that game.
Yes. I find it very interesting that Penn State was in that game. Do you remember who they played? Were you there?
No.
No, you weren't there?
Oh, they play Miami or something?
Seriously, you weren't there?
No.
Huh.
I got asked enough this week if I was going.
Interesting. So, who do you think they played?
Probably Oregon or USC.
USC.
They probably lost.
14-3.
Good game, guys.
Yeah.
Was that in like 1980 something?
Dude, I said 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So that'd be 1923, dingus. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, God. Smack yourself. Please smack yourself. Oh, God. By the way,
I promise.
Interesting. Penn State started out that season 5-0.
Okay.
Then they had a tie
At 2?
against Syracuse.
What was the score?
Take a guess.
0-0.
0-0. 0-0.
Entertaining football.
By the way, take a guess what Penn State Stadium was called in 1923. Very interesting.
Would I be able to come up with this word?
You would. It's 3 words. So right now it's Beaver Stadium. 2 words.
Right.
So there was called 3.
Blank blank stadium or blank blank field.
Blank blank field.
I'm trying to think of something like back then that might have been like.
Second word. Here's a word you never heard before. Beaver. New Beaver Field.
New Beaver Field.
New Beaver Field. So they played one hell of a schedule in 1922. They played St. Bonaventure.
By the way, before you go through this, do you know where the stadium was?
I'm going to assume somewhere in the State College area.
Yeah.
Was it inside the Willard Building?
No. So right now, the stadium, for people who don't know, is on the northeast side of campus.
That it is. Yes.
Back then, it was on the west side of campus.
So over by Alumni Hall.
Like behind Alumni Hall, over by the golf courses.
Got ya. Interesting.
And then they moved it over there.
Did they build the golf course where the stadium was?
That I don't know, but I'm going to probably take a wild guess and say that would make sense.
That's your homework assignment. I want to know where the old Beaver Stadium, or whatever it was called, Beaver Field or whatever, where it was up there. So they played St. Bonaventure. Then they played William and Mary. There's a tough game. Then they played Gettysburg. Then they played Lebanon Valley. Then they played Middlebury.
Lebanon Valley had a football team?
Yeah. So now you know why they were 5-0.
Yeah, it's some high school teams.
Then they played Syracuse at the Polo Grounds. That's like where...
Oh, that's the square baseball field where it's like 240 to get it down left, but it's 440 to get it down center.
Where they tied Syracuse, and then they played Navy and lost 14-0, but Navy was, Navy back then. Then they played, here's a team, Carnegie Tech, where they won 10-0. Then they lost to Penn, 7-6. Then they lost in their rivalry game. Who was their rival back then?
Boston College.
No.
Back then?
Yes.
Let me think. Temple.
No.
Pitt.
Yes. They lost 14-0, and then they lost to USC in the Rose Bowl 14-3. Interesting. The attendance, they must have been in the middle of building Beaver Field. Their attendance for the first 4 games, 3,000. Their 4th home game, or their 5th home game, 4,000. And their last home game, 17,000. So between October 21st and November 11th, They added 13,000 seats.
Yeah, they got this whole stadium built.
There was 50,000 estimated attendance when they played Penn, at Franklin
Right.
Field. So, there you go. Team was coached by Hugo Bezdek. It played its home games in New Beaverfield State College, Pennsylvania. New Beaverfield was the third home of Penn State. You could look this all up on Wikipedia if you choose to.
Oh my God, their stadium! I forgot how their stadium looked. It was like Harvard's, where it's just a U, and the one end zone has no stands.
Right. Yes.
Like, why wouldn't you just make it the whole way around? Why do you do that? Yeah, you can see where that is. I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, they actually have a map.
Well, I can see the building with the dome over. I know exactly where that is. It's right on College Ave, where it is now.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's right where the inn is, the Nittany Inn, right across the street.
So it was like right kind of where Curtin Road meets Atherton.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. So how far away did you live from, like, I know you lived on Atherton. How far were you from Curtin Road?
2 blocks.
2 blocks. There you go. So look at that. You lived right by the stadium and you never knew it.
Yeah, 100 years prior, my building didn't even exist.
Well, I think that's pretty cool. Like, to me, that's awesome because that's history.
Did you know that they moved the stadium? Did you know it used to be on the other side of campus?
No, but it makes sense because they built the campus eastward as it's gotten bigger.
Right.
So that makes perfect sense that it was over by Rec Hall.
It was more in the town.
Right, yeah.
Because most of the old side of town is on that side of town.
So it wasn't by the golf course. The golf course is more north of there. Yeah.
Well, that would be like right where like holes 10, 11, 12, and 13 are on the white course now.
Got you.
So, like, yeah, not like where the main part of the golf course is like the clubhouse, but it's part of where there is golf course now.
Oh, yeah, White Course Drive. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And you're right. Yeah, Rec Hall is like a block south of there.
Yeah, not even. It's probably like half a city block.
Yeah. So to me, that's cool. That's history. So yeah. So 101 years after the first Rose Bowl game in the Rose Bowl Stadium, Penn State is now playing. 100 years in one day later. They've played in the Rose Bowl, I think, two other times since, when they beat Oregon, and then they lost to USC just recently. I don't think they've played there any other time, although I could be wrong. Don't count me on that. But so, what are the keys to victory for both teams?
They have 4 appearances in the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
I can look it up later.
Unless if this is their 4th appearance.
They're 1 and 3.
Maybe a little prognostication. You
Not
tell me
even
the keys. I will get the other time they were in the Rose Bowl.
All right, so keys for victory. For Utah, if they have to get a pass game going. The problem is they don't have their quarterback, their best receiver, their best tight end, and I believe they're a running back.
2008, they were in the Rose Bowl, too. They faced USC in 2008 and 2016.
I feel like you should have knew that.
Well, they lost both times.
That was when USC was really good.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be tough for them to get a pass game going. I don't think they'll have a problem getting, even with the backup running back, I don't think they'll have a big issue getting some sort of run game moving along. They do have good offensive line and a powerful offensive front. Penn State doesn't have Porter. Honestly, I don't think it's going to make a big difference since their best wide receiver isn't playing. So I think a key to them is they got to get some sort of pass game going. If they do, I think they have a chance to win. Unfortunately, I bet this game before any opt-outs when Penn State was a favorite. Or no. Yeah.
Well, you took Utah.
Yeah, to Utah, like getting like 2.5.
2.5, right. And the line is now 2.5 the other way. Utah is now the favorite.
Right. Because I figured it would, because I always thought before any opt-outs, Utah was definitely the better team. Better offense.
Right.
Much better offense. Penn State's keys to victory, a little different. They got to get a run game going. And a good one. Because they're not going to have much of a pass game. No Parker Washington. You'll have Tinsley, but he's not a number 1. Tinsley is by far number 2, and that's fine. But Keandre Lambert-Smith is not going to be good enough to get a really good pass game going to get 200, 300 yards passing. You really could use 100 yards each out of Singleton and Katron. Katron gets you tough yards. Singleton, if he can get outside 2 or 3 times, goodbye, Felicia. If he could get outside. Now, O-line, I don't think anyone's opted out. They only have like 2 or 3 opt-outs.
Right.
Parker, Joey Porter. They might have like one more, like lineman or something.
I believe it's the third-string water boy opted out.
But I believe Olu is playing.
He is.
So
and they got some people back from injury too. He's one of them, right? He was injured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olu was injured, who was projected to be a first-round pick, decided to stay. Love it. Great for Penn State. Probably going to be the number 1 left tackle in the draft next year. But I think so. I think with him, Singleton should be able to get outside left once or twice, and he can certainly break a long one. He's quicker than quick. And if Juice and both tackles can start making some holes that K-Tron get through and get a good running guy, I think Penn State's got a real chance to win. It's just going to come down to who has the lead with 2 or 3 minutes to go and who has the ball. Because I worry, and every Penn State fan knows this, if they're up 3 to 6 points with 2 minutes to go and Utah's got the ball, if Franklin has ever learned, he needs to learn to play aggressive. Put pressure on the quarterback. You have a good enough secondary to pressure the quarterback that you can still keep with wide receivers. You don't need to play prevent. Don't let them get free 10, 12 yards. I mean, does Alabama play prevent? Does Georgia play prevent? No, they don't. Pressure the quarterback. Can't get down the field to throw the ball if you have 3 seconds to throw the ball. But I think even with all the offense, I think it should be a really good game. I'm hesitant to say how high scoring it could be. I think it could be really low, but I think it also could be fairly higher. And Diaz is obviously going to send the pressure. He loves to do it. Certainly very good at it. I would love if he could stay another 3 or 4 years. He's probably got 1. I mean, it really depends how the chips fall with openings. Who gets fired? Where's his goal? Does he want to go to the SEC? I'd take a guess and say yes.
Mm-hmm.
SEC or maybe like somewhere in the pack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he wants to go back to the ACC. I think that's the one conference he won't go to. And the Big Ten. I don't think he would take something in like the Big Ten East. But I think if he gets something in the SEC, and I think there's certainly going to be an opening or 2 in the SEC next year, I think he would bounce on one of those if somebody gets offered.
Right. So I think the opt-outs for Utah are huge. Huge. Correct. In this game. I'm shocked, to be honest, that they are now the favorite in this game. I expect that line to come down before game time. I'm not saying Penn State will be the favorite come game time, but I could easily see it coming down to 1.5 or 1 by game time. I think the key to the game is going to be, does Penn State get a passing game going? So I think that Brenton Strange and Theo Johnson could and will play a huge role in the game. Huge role. And for those of you who don't know who they are their tight ends.
And Brenton Strange is his last game.
Yes.
He is declaring another weird one where I think he can really improve his stock if he stayed. He is an insanely good blocker. And that's why he's going. He'll probably get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just not. Penn State's meta is receiving tight ends. And he's like the first one in like 8 years that is not a good receiving tight end. And then Theo Johnson is the exact opposite of him. He's a great receiving tight end.
Yes.
I love Theo Johnson. I think he is money for exactly what they want their offense to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to be something to watch next year. I mean, his average receiving yards is almost 16 per catch. I mean, it's number. Actually, I'm looking at the stats right now. It's number 1 on the team in average yards per catch.
Surprise me if he ends up being basically the number 2 target next year.
Sure. Absolutely. I think that's the key to the game. I mean, Penn State, I think, is going to be able to run the ball. So looking at Utah gives up an average on the ground decent 3.9 yards per carry. That's pretty good. Penn State averages 4.8 yards.
Pretty good.
Utah, interestingly enough, averages 5.6 yards. If Utah can average 5.6 yards on the ground against Penn State, they're probably going to win the game.
They won't, though.
Penn State gives up an average of 3.3 yards, and that's even with giving up, like, what did they give up, like 914 yards on the ground against Michigan?
Like 250. Well, I'm going to go on a limb and say this is the best defense Utah's seen.
I would absolutely agree with that. So let's look at who Utah has played this year. USC, Colorado, Oregon, Stanford, Arizona, Washington State, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona State, San Diego State, Southern Utah, Florida. So yeah. I mean, it's not even close. Yeah. And, they really padded their stats against Arizona and Colorado. I mean, they had nearly 400 yards rushing against Colorado. So that really, boosts their...
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have over 100 yards rushing of all probability. So I think the key to the game is Penn State wants to control the ball. They want to, win time of possession, in other words. With their running game. Throw in some passes, especially to their tight ends. I think their tight ends are going to play a huge role in this game. Huge. Much more than what the prognosticators are anticipating. I think their passing game is going to go through their tight ends. I really do. And I think the opt-outs in this game are really going to hurt Utah. I do. I'll go first. Usually I let you go first in predictions. I have Penn State winning this game 31 to like 26-ish. 31, somewhere between 24, 25, 26. I think Penn State will win this game. If the opt-outs didn't happen for Utah, I may have seen it a little bit differently. Okay, you can stop shaking your head now and tell me what you think.
So, as stands, my score prediction is Penn State 24, Utah 20.
Okay, I could see that happening easily.
If there's no opt-outs whatsoever, either team 100% full strength. I would see Utah winning 37-31.
Wow. You think that? So, for me, the biggest opt-out on Penn State side is Porter.
Porter, I think, without having your number one receiver, I think that's really going to not help you because they really only have one option within the first 8 yards.
Right. That's true, but Penn State didn't really wow anybody with their passing attack this year.
No, not really.
But
it's certainly helpful to have more than, hey, after a few drives they see, hey, we're throwing half our passes to our tight ends. Well, now we're going to double team the tight end, and Tinsley's only really good for the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
He's only good for the 20, 30, 40-yard passes.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think the tight ends are going to have huge.
If you had Parker Washington that could throw that 15-yard slant, that crossing route that he's so good at.
So let's look at some props if there's any props up for this game. Game props. Halftime all props. So I don't see any player props up on Barstool. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a prop play on Theo Johnson receiving yards, take it over. Because it won't be that much. I say it's probably somewhere in the 40s. He gets more than
the 30s.
I wouldn't be surprised if he, between the two tight ends, if they have more than 75 receiving yards. Easily.
It's a little easy to know with Penn State. A little. If Stranger's out on the field, it's most likely a run. Maybe like 75% of the time. If Johnson's out on the field, it's probably more like 60% a pass. Just seems that how their offense works because they're so polar opposite tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
A good thing for them to run, and I loved when they ran this T formation. Both running backs next to you, and if you had Strange, you didn't know it was coming, and they were so good at that formation. I thought that was their best formation all year.
Absolutely.
That or I formation was Singleton.
I love their I formation. They didn't do it enough. I would love to see the traditional I formation get a fullback on the field, even if you have two tight ends on the field and have Strange being almost like a fullback in a fullback role.
Him or even K-Tron could play fullback, to be honest.
I mean, can you? I think we're not coaches, but I think that would be money.
Well, if they went old school, I think their running attack would be so good. Old school T and I formation, two tight ends, play just concise between the boxes football.
Yep. Does Drew Allar see the field?
No. Unless they're blowing him out, no. Then he might see a drive.
Okay. Barring injury to Sean Clifford, does Drew Allar see the field? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to see the field, but no. The game will be too close. It's Clifford's last game. Franklin has a hard on for him. Sorry, but it's kind of true.
Yes, I completely concur. The only way, barring injury, Allar sees the field is if Penn State is either up or down, and Clifford gets the curtain call.
And if they win, the whole story is going to be about Clifford. He's going to be crying, I'm sure.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's been there, I think, since I was a freshman in high school.
Might have been since your dad was a freshman.
just. My father did go to Penn State, just so you know. Didn't graduate, but he did go to Penn State. So he may even have been in the new Beaver field.
Very well could have been.
Have to wait, hold on, when did they play there? Wait, they had the rules, so probably not.
I forget when they moved it. It was
in 1960. So no, he went to college after he got out of the Army in the mid 60s. So. And it does say that in Wikipedia on the present site of the Nittany Lion Inn and the Nittany parking deck.
Oh, so it's even a little. So it's actually over more than where I thought it was. It wasn't on. It's on the eastern side of where College Ave is now. I thought it was on the western side.
No,
So yeah,
no, it was on the eastern side.
Oh my. Yeah, there was nothing there. There's so many buildings there now. So yeah, like the back end of that would have like hit Rec Hall almost.
It says portions of the original 1909 design are still in use today. So you should take a walk over there sometime.
Yeah, I'll have to go before a wrestling match.
Yeah.
On like a Sunday when we have a wrestling match at like 1. Go try to find some of that. I'm sure there's some steel or something in one of those buildings that like this big sign right there.
And it was named after James Beaver, who was a former governor of Pennsylvania and a member of the school's board of trustees.
There you go. The more you know.
All right, on to the NFL, since we're already at an hour.
See, remember when on Tuesday when I said this show might take 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And I said we'll somehow ramble on for way longer than that?
Yeah. Well, you started us off on Mr. Pickles. That's all I'm going to say.
Mr. Pickles!
So, we got only 2 weeks left in the NFL season.
Woo!
A lot of interesting games this week. I think actually this week is a really good slate of games. I think we can have some.
Probably the most exciting week since week 1.
That's really saying something.
Since week 1 is always exciting. You know, football's back. Very exciting. But the NFL's just been.
It hasn't been a good year.
Like, it's just. The good teams are good. The bad teams are bad.
Yes.
And I feel like the bad teams are always playing each other on prime time TV.
Oh, especially on Thursday. But,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many good teams this year. That's the problem.
6.
There's 6. Yeah, that's it.
There's like. How many in the NFL?
32.
2. So there's 6 good teams, there's like 6 bad teams, and there's like 20 mediocre teams.
No, I would say there's 6 good teams and about 10 bad teams, and the rest are.
All right.
So like looking at the schedule. All right, Arizona, Atlanta. Who gives a fuck? Carolina, Tampa, battling for playoff positioning. That could be a really good game.
Sneaky good game.
Well, let's not forget. Carolina played Tampa the week after they traded McCafferty, and they beat Tampa 21-3 as a double-digit underdog. Chicago, Detroit. I mean, Detroit's battling for a playoff spot.
I think Chicago is better than their record. I do. They're 3-12. I don't know if I'd put them in that bottom 5 worst teams. I just think their defense sucks. I'll give you that. But I think they have a good foundation at offense. I think they got something going. For some reason, Justin Fields actually looks like a capable quarterback.
Which is weird because he's from Ohio State.
Yeah, he is. So that's like the weird thing. And I don't really love the dual threat. I don't like it. I don't think it really works.
I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart. All right, so let's just back up for a moment. I'm gonna I think Chicago wants to lose this game.
They might.
Because they're battling for the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, now they are with Houston winning last week.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I don't think Fields is going to run a lot in this game. I see a lot of passing yards in this game. Like a lot of passing yards.
Well, if they're going for the number 1 pick, they're going for a defensive tackle. Because there's 2 really good defensive edges in this draft.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, whoever gets the number 1 pick, you're an idiot if you don't trade it away.
Oh, you get way more picks.
There's no good players in this draft.
I mean, unless you really have your eye on like a quarterback. I mean,
yeah, there's no good quarterbacks in this draft.
Quarterbacks.
There's just no good quarterbacks. All right, Cleveland, Washington battling for playoff still.
That could be a good game.
Denver, Kansas City. All right, you got some storylines in that game. Denver just fired their coach.
Force prediction. If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Broncos, what's the record?
This year?
Yes. Are they over 500?
Yes, absolutely.
Are they in the playoffs?
Yes.
So you're basically just saying the problem is Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Great defense.
All right.
Top 5 defense.
All right. Their problem, they had two problems. Russell Wilson just has dropped off the face of the planet. His abilities, he's just lost his abilities. Whether it's a one-year thing or he's done forever, yet to be seen. And they brought in a coach who's not ready to coach.
Fair.
If you had a competent coach and Aaron Rodgers, there's no doubt in my mind they're in the playoffs.
I believe they've had some injury issues at wide receiver.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, they have. But, like they're like the opposite of Minnesota, where Minnesota has won how many games by less than a touchdown. Denver's lost how many games by less than a touchdown.
Exactly. Except Denver looked great, except for last week.
Yes, where their defenses finally kind of got tired and quit.
Yeah, they got tired of being like the best defense in the league and being
which
a 4-1 team.
I will admit right now, I do not have this game in my Phatts Phantastic Phive. Do you have this game in your Phatts Phantastic Phive?
No.
Okay. Usually Denver plays Kansas City very close. Like, usually when I see this matchup, I'm taking Denver. It's like automatic.
But Russell Wilson is playing.
And you don't know, is Denver going to try to rise to the occasion because it's Kansas City? Or are they just now officially done?
Yeah.
Indy Giants. Giants still battling for playoff position. Jacksonville, Houston. Jacksonville is now leading their division. Houston is probably trying to lose. If they lose out, they have the number 1 pick.
I'm not sure why would you start trying to lose now? Why did you win last week?
Because they still had a little buffer.
Okay.
And, players don't try to lose, but let's just say management wants them to lose.
Well, the coach may call something a little different. May call the game a little bit.
Miami, New England.
A
lot of storylines there. All right, so New England could have easily be on at least a 2-game winning streak. They had that stupid play in Vegas. Where, not to say they would have won the game. The game would have went into overtime. Anything could have happened in overtime.
Right.
Last week, they had a great second-half comeback. They got down to the 5-yard line and fumbled.
They did.
I believe it was the same player that lateral. Not the second lateral. I believe it was the first lateral.
Oh, okay. The first lateral in that play did not bother me at all.
Well, it should have bothered you.
It went right to a guy.
But it should have bothered you because it should have never happened. If you're losing, yes, but the game is tied. You go down, you play overtime.
If he goes down and scores a touchdown, do you have the same opinion?
No, but he was right on the sidelines. It was dumb. It was dumb. Miami quarterback, once again in concussion protocol, probably done for the season.
He might be done for his career.
There is some reports that he's one concussion away from having his career over. I mean, nobody knew it at the time, but he threw 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter last week.
Oh, I know. I watched the game. I was cheering.
Yes, I know. Philly, New Orleans. New Orleans, technically, they're not out of the playoffs yet. Philly needs a win to get the number 1 seed. Jets, Seattle. Basically, the winner of this game, this is very interesting. If Seattle wins this game, they have, I believe I heard today, like a 77% chance of making the playoffs.
Okay.
If the Jets win this game, they have like an 83% chance of making the playoffs.
Is Mike White playing?
Yes.
Then I give him a good chance to win a game.
Mike White is playing.
I give him bet about a pick, maybe a little in their favor. It'd be a good game. I think that's a very good game.
They are a 1.5 point favorite.
Very defensive game.
We will see if we might see this pick a little later. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. San Fran Raiders. Very interesting storylines in this game. San Fran just continues to win with a third-string quarterback.
Because they don't. It doesn't matter who plays quarterback for them.
Right.
They're so good everywhere else.
Raiders, basically their quarterback is like not even allowed in the stadium for the rest of the season. Derek Carr, he's done. Like he's not practicing. He's not going to play. He doesn't come to practice. He's basically been given the rest of the season off. He will not be on the team next year. And from what I understand, the players on the team love him. He's like everybody's favorite player on the team. They love him.
So it sounds like management needs to be thrown out, not Derek Carr. Because Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He's not top 10, but he's not bottom 10. I think he's actually a decent quarterback. Just he's never had anything really around him.
Right. Rams, Chargers. All right. What's the, Chargers are already in the playoffs. Rams obviously aren't going anywhere. Both teams play in that stadium. It's the Chargers' home game. Probably the Rams will have more fans in the stadium. Chargers don't draw. It's the season ticket holders for the Chargers that get their tickets. But probably they'll have a lot more Rams fans. Minnesota, Green Bay. A lot of storylines there. Huge storylines there. Green Bay could somehow still make the playoffs if they win.
Oh yeah, baby, let's go.
Minnesota's still trying to hold on to the number 2 seed. Could still get the number 1 seed if Philly loses out and Minnesota wins out. They would get the number 1 seed. A lot of storylines there. And then you have Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Rivalry game. Pittsburgh could... Baltimore, basically in the playoffs, Pittsburgh still trying to get Tomlin to a winning record. He's never had a losing record. If they win out, he's got a winning record. Best game on the board to tease, by the way, this week. It's down to 1.5. It's been sitting at 2.5 all week. If you were to play a same game teaser, this is the game to do it with. Tease Pittsburgh up to 7.5 and tease the under up to 41.5, and you're basically golden. And then you have the Monday night game, probably the best game of the weekend. Buffalo traveling to Cincinnati.
And I won't get to watch more than the half.
Oh, so you go to work tired the next day.
I'm good.
Like, I think you do one day on, 5 hours of sleep. Big deal. Come on.
Well, let's just hope it's a blowout at halftime.
There you go. So it's a great week. Great week.
For once. And then, for people who don't know, next week, we're doing a challenge.
We are. So we got to talk about how we want to do this. I have another idea. So go ahead and say it. Say why we're doing this challenge first.
Why are we doing this challenge? So every year I think this will be our 3rd year.
Yes.
So yeah. Once playoff time comes around, we try to pick the Super Bowl winner. So first year, I believe I went first. I get 1 pick. Then he gets 2 picks. I get 2 picks all the way down the board. Last year, you went first. You took 1. I took 2. Blah, blah, blah. This year, he was like, why don't you do it? And I said, why don't we do something different? We're going to pick every game in Week 18. Not by spread, straight up. Just winners. And whoever wins gets to pick if they want to go first or second.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we tie, we will have to discuss a game that we want to pick the total score of.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's closest to it would get it.
Mm-hmm. And here comes my thought. Why don't we do confidence points?
Confidence points. Okay. That's fair.
So you know how to do confidence points. So there's 16 games.
So let's just put out an example. Let's pick one game that's like...
So just looking down the Barstool site, the first game on the board next Sunday, Arizona and San Francisco.
So that would probably be my... So 16 being your most confident of who's going to win, 1 being your least. That would most likely be my San Francisco 16.
Yeah. So your most confident game gets your highest point total.
And let's just say Arizona 1, you get 16. You don't get points.
So if
you want points.
Right. If you lose the game, you don't get those points. If you win the game, you get the points that you have with that. And then we do have to still pick a tiebreaker. So whatever game will be the Sunday night game, which we'll know by Monday, we'll do total points. Final score, total points. Closest to it without going over.
I can tell you right now, it's not going to be the Texans-Colts game. Oh my God, that's such a...
But you know what game it's going to wind up being? Tennessee-Jacksonville.
I was going to say Giants-Eagles.
No, because if the Eagles win this week, they've locked up number one.
Oh.
So it's going to be a game that only matters for them. So it doesn't... If Jacksonville and Tennessee could only make the playoffs by winning the game, like they have to win the division to make the playoffs, that will be the game.
I was going to say Packers-Lions then, too.
If one
They're
team
both
needs
8-8 going in?
If one team needs the win to make the playoffs and the other team doesn't make the playoffs with a loss, that could easily be the game, yes.
They're both going to be 8-8, hopefully, going into that game.
Yes, so that could certainly be the game as well. But I am going... So Tennessee already lost, so if Jacksonville wins, they're up by a game. So there might not be any tiebreakers involved. Well, if Tennessee wins, then they might win the tiebreaker. So that could still be the game. So that'll be whatever is the Sunday night game next week will be our tiebreaker game. Agreed?
Agreed.
And whoever wins gets the choice of what they want to do.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let's finish off the week with the way we always do. Let's go to the world famous... Hold on. I got to adjust the screen a little bit. The world famous Phatts Phantastic Phive. Let's move you up to the top. Whee! There you go.
Whee!
This is where, if you're new, we pick 5 games against the spread. And if you want to make money, don't play them. Actually, I have a winning record this year.
I did not.
You have a winning record when your girlfriend makes the picks.
Except this week.
Except last week. Right. Yes. So, let's review. Let's look at the non-genetically proven sons picks from last week. Whee! You had Cincinnati -3.
That was a butt clencher. But it held.
Yep, figured you were going to lose that game after being up 22-0 at halftime.
Figure that was a shoe-in.
Yep.
Almost got whatever they call it.
Yep.
When you get hosed at in a casino.
Yep. Bad beat.
Bad beat. That was a bad beat.
A little Eddie Mush going on there. San Fran -6.5 over Washington. Did they cover?
Yeah, I think they did.
Tennessee -3. Oops.
Hey, Josh called that game.
He did.
He did.
My nephew, your cousin Josh, on Christmas told us.
I had bet 35 cents on games.
told us that Houston was beating Tennessee.
I will say, betting $1 or less on games, you might as well not even bet. Not worth it.
Well, if you're somebody that really needs that action but has no money,
that's one way to do it.
Although at 35 cents, I'm probably playing like an 18 parlay.
Like at that point, every year in the NFL or even in college, they give you like a free $100. Just take that and just bet with that all year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't have to bet $50. Bet a couple bucks. You won't lose all that by week 18 unless you're stupid.
Yeah. If they followed your picks early in the season.
Yeah.
Miami minus 3.5. You were rooting for Green Bay, but you
Was
took
rooting for
Miami.
And Miami looked really good until Tua slammed his head on the floor.
Yeah, on the floor.
On the floor.
He tripped coming down the steps.
And then...
Or, better yet, he tripped getting out of the bathtub, and he hit his head off the floor.
Throwing the ball right-handed right to Green Bay.
And you finished it up with Vegas getting 2. Who did Vegas end up playing last
Steelers.
week? The Steelers. Yeah, and I told you the Steelers would win that game because of the death of Franco Harris.
Won it by 3. Jesus.
Who covered? So 2-3 on the week, a losing week for your girlfriend.
First one.
First one. She was like 8-0-2 or 8-1-1 before that.
She had like one loss, and she's like 8-1-1.
Yes.
And then she liked Kansas City last week. I didn't, so I didn't pick it. They covered.
Of course.
And the first time she ever made my pick, she loved Penn State. I hated Penn State. Penn State covered by 1 million.
Yes.
So she's actually like 10-1-1.
Yes. All right, so let's look at your picks for this week. I see you have 2 college games and 3 pro games.
Yeah.
So who made the picks this week?
I did.
Okay, so we already know what's going to happen here.
So South Carolina didn't cover, by the way. So I would have actually lost that bet, I believe.
Good thing.
Let me make sure. Yeah, they were 5.5, so and they lost by 7. So
Okay.
I would have lost that one. I would have loved that pick too.
Okay. So here we go. You have Georgia
Georgia.
given 5.5 because that's what the line is at Barstool. When you sent it to me, it was 6. I looked it up. It was 5.5, so you get the 5.5.
That's what I used. DraftKings. That's what it was.
Yes.
DraftKings.
Yes. So we already talked about that game.
Yes.
Iowa, Kentucky over 31.
All right. This game is funny. I get Iowa might be the worst offense in the FBS. We're up there. Kentucky is playing with a backup quarterback.
Kentucky is playing with their third-string quarterback.
Third-string quarterback.
Who's never taking a snap in college football.
That's fine.
Going up against one of the best defenses in the country.
If they even care.
If they care, sure.
But this game is, other than Army-Navy, got to be the lowest over-under in the last, 20, 25 years.
Oh, I'm sure. It has to be.
I mean, Iowa's defense or offense isn't that bad. They can score 16 points. And I believe, honestly, even if Kentucky just hands the ball off, I would hope they could score 16 points. I will take the benefit of the doubt, and I will take the over.
Okay. Then you have Green Bay -3 over Minnesota.
Gotta go with the hot hand.
Interesting line.
Hey.
Minnesota already has clinched the division. Still fighting for the number 1 seed. Still technically fighting for the number 2 seed. Because with a loss or 2, they can fall down to the number 3 seed.
Right.
They can't fall any further than 3. But that number 2, 3 seed, that gives them a home game. And if the Eagles lose in the second round, if they're the 2 seed, they could get a home game in the NFC Championship game. So that's a big game.
I will say, whoever made the line knows that Minnesota is frauds.
Yeah.
Is Green Bay home?
Yes.
So that's why they're -3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta play in Green Bay in January.
Interesting stat. Green Bay's head coach, undefeated in December.
I did see that.
Yes.
Is it going to be January when they play, though?
It will be.
So that doesn't matter.
Maybe he's undefeated in the regular season in December and
Green
January.
Bay had 4 wins. They were out of the playoffs. They're winning this game. They're going to the last week with a chance to make the playoffs.
And they have a home game next week.
Against the Lions.
Yes. Then you take Carolina +4.
You're giving me the hot team.
Yeah.
You're giving me points. The hot team.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay sucks.
Yep.
They barely beat Trace McFreaking Sorley. I love the guy. He went to Penn State, but he isn't that good.
Yeah.
Against a team in Arizona that doesn't give a rat's ass about the rest of this season.
Yep.
You're giving me points.
Yep.
Give me the points.
Let me ask you a question. At what would the line have had to be for you not to play Carolina, for you not to touch the game, or to take the other side?
For me to not touch the game?
Yes.
A pick or their favorite. If they're an underdog, give me it.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Carolina might cover this game because they're getting more than a field goal.
Yeah.
Carolina is not winning this game.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you right now why.
Because Tom Brady.
Does the NFL want to see Dallas have to go to Tampa for the playoffs? Or do they want to see Dallas have to go to Carolina for the playoffs? Because Dallas is going to be the number 5 seed. Whoever wins this division is going to be the number 4 seed. They will have to play Dallas. What is the bigger storyline in this for the playoffs?
Get money if they go to Tampa Bay.
Dallas going to Tampa or Dallas going to Carolina? What is the bigger story? That tells you all you need to know about who is going to win this game. I like Carolina with the 4. I'll say it right now. If this was 2.5, give me Tampa all day long. All day. Tampa is winning this game by 3. Tampa will kick a field goal with under 10 seconds to go to win by 3. That's what's going to happen in this game.
I don't care.
Carolina is going to have to punt the ball with under 2 minutes to go because on 3rd down, when they get a 1st down, there's going to be a mysterious flag that comes out of the field. It's going to be holding offense. Carolina is going... You are listening. Listen to me, America, right now. Carolina Panthers are going to beat Tampa Bay on paper, but they are not going to beat them on the scoreboard because the NFL is going to fuck them out of this victory. I am telling you that right now. I'm guaranteeing you Tampa Bay wins this game. Guaranteeing you Tampa wins this game because the referees will fuck Carolina in this game because hush. Because the NFL wants to see Dallas have to go to Tampa for the playoffs.
You are such a conspiracy theorist. So
on Sunday after this game is over,
Carolina wins this game by 30.
You know what? So do I. But it's not happening. You just, after this game is over, when I call you and say, see? Or when I call you after the mysterious holding.
No, it's going to be like offensive pass interference or something.
Yeah, like a pick play or something. Or
yeah, it won't be, holding's too common. It's got to be that stupid play.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we'll go over the last pick. I want to ask you a question then.
All right, so you want to do the last pick first?
Yeah.
All right, Chicago +6 at Detroit. I think, as I said, it's going to be a high-scoring game.
The Bears. They covered.
They do. They're going to have to score points in this game. Detroit averages more than 30 points at home. So they're going to have to score points.
The only thing that does bother me a little, I didn't think about this prior, they could get the number 1 pick now.
Yes.
That's the only thing that bothers me just a little.
Well, they could still lose by 4. And
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. All right, so you have Georgia -5.5. The over in the Iowa-Kentucky game, over 31. Green Bay -3. Carolina +4. Chicago +6. Now, what did you want to say before we get to my picks?
I believe it was the Chargers-Colts game last week. Was that play targeting? You know exactly what catch I'm talking about.
Well, it wasn't ruled targeting,
Well, they kicked him out of the game for it.
Yeah, but it wasn't ruled targeting. It was ruled unnecessary roughness. There is no targeting in the NFL.
He's been thrown out of the game for that hit.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of speculation saying he hit his pad first. Sure, if his head was straight up, great hit, walk off the sideline. Good hit. But his helmet was down. The NFL has a lot of tweaking to do.
It does.
With their penalties. Roughing the passer needs to...
That's become a joke.
You really need to figure out what that is. Because there was one, like last week, he literally didn't even fall. He got, like, tapped in the head.
Yes.
With a hand. I'm like, come on.
Yes. And there was one where he wound up on top of him, but he tried to roll to the side, and it was... I mean, yes. No, that roughing the passer needs to be made reviewable, not by the head referee, by the referees up in the box, because it needs to be like a decision made in 15 seconds.
Yeah, it needs to be like a VAR.
Yeah.
NFL needs a VAR, and they could do this. There's definitely a technology to do this. So this is going back a couple weeks now with the Raiders when they called him in. There is no doubt in my mind they can have infrared or whatever it is lines just around the end zone.
Well,
to make
I don't even think I think you can do it anywhere on the field.
I don't really care where else it is.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make that big of a difference if it's on the 50. I don't care.
No, but I'm talking about for catches that could be ruled inbounds or out of bounds.
But you could definitely have that technology there.
Agree.
To know if his foot is in or out by millimeters.
Agree.
I mean, would they make the game? But I don't think it ruins the game like it does in soccer. Because soccer is continuous. Football, a lot of plays get reviewed.
Yeah.
Every touchdown is reviewed.
Right.
So I think that's fine since VAR will be able to do that quickly because it's obvious.
Yes. So for those of you that don't watch soccer where they have like video assistant replay, I think is that what VAR stands
Video assistant referee.
Okay, yeah. Like you could tell like if the guy's finger obviously finger does not cause offsides. But like it's so pinpoint exact.
So like why doesn't the NFL have something? It doesn't have to be exactly that. But we should be able to know if his foot is in or out.
Agreed. Because there was not one good there was not one good camera angle on that catch. Yeah. But we discussed this last week.
But I'm still ticked over it.
All right. Let's review my picks from last week.
Boo.
I had a good week. Except for game number 1. Where I had Chicago plus 8.5 over Buffalo. I said the game is, being played in minus 6,412 wind chill. They're just going to want to run the ball, get the game over. I like the running quarterback, Justin Fields. He barely ran the ball. Chicago lost by 18 or something like that.
Oh, Bears.
And then I ran the table. Giants plus 4. They lost by 3. Henry over 110.5 rushing yards. Because, the last 4 times he had over 200 yards against Houston. He didn't have over 200, but he had more than 110.5. Washington, San Fran. You thought I was crazy that I liked the over. Game went over. I told you, Ron Rivera. When he's about a 6-point or more underdog, that game goes over. He's 19-1 going over. Now he's 20-1.
Well, San Fran scored 34 points.
And I basically guaranteed Pittsburgh would cover that game.
Yeah, and it was a butt clencher.
Yeah. All right, now for my picks. And I did tell the non-genetically proven son that we had one difference. I have a slightly different line by 0.5 point. And he's so hoping that I took the under. He is so hoping that I took the under in the Iowa-Kentucky game.
That would be funny.
And here are my picks for the week. Here are my picks.
We did it.
Georgia team total over 34.5. So I kind of teased this a little bit earlier when you asked me how many points would TCU have to score to win the game, and I said
I like that pick.
I said 36. Tease. This USC pick was the last pick that I made. I originally had a NFL game, and I took it out. And I added this because with the USC quarterback being probable in a game that he doesn't have to play, I think it's a very high-scoring game. If USC brings their A game, they score in the 40s in this game easily. So I like over 32.5. Now, Barstool has this game at 31.5. There will be one touchdown scored in this game. Unless there's a defensive score or a kick return, punt return. The offense will score one touchdown in this game. I don't know which offense it's going to be. I will say it'll be Iowa. Kentucky's offense will not score a touchdown in this game.
Okay.
You are hearing that from me right now. This easily has 13-3 written all over this game. If you're going to watch this game, God bless. If you're not, if you're just a casual fan of college football and you're plopping down good money to actually watch this game, I hope you like defense.
Or just bad offense.
I mean, again, Kentucky's third-string quarterback is playing this game. Their best running back, I believe, is out of this game. They have a wide receiver not playing in this game.
And Iowa, final score, Kentucky 48, Iowa 45.
Then I'll be wrong.
That would be something interesting.
That would be very interesting. Iowa has some starters out of this game. 13-3. 16-3. 20-3, maybe. San Fran minus 9.5. Vegas has quit. San Fran is just going to keep rolling. Vegas, Derek Carr not playing. They may even have other starters not playing in this game. And my last pick, huge game. Cincinnati Buffalo. This is a seeding game. Cincinnati could climb to the number 2 seed. They could still realistically get the number 1 seed, although they can't vault to the number 1 seed after this game, unless if Kansas City loses to Denver this weekend. You're giving me the hottest team in the AFC at home, and you're giving me a point. I'll take it. Sure. I'll take it. I think Cincinnati's a better team than Buffalo, to be honest. They're playing much better football.
You could argue Cincinnati's probably the best team in football. To them or San Fran, it's one of the two.
I tell you what, a San Fran-Cincinnati Super Bowl would be a very interesting game.
It'd probably be the best possible matchup.
That would be a great game to watch.
That really brings up those Denver-Seattle Super Bowls we got a few years back.
Yes.
Great offense, great defense.
So to recap, I have Georgia team total over 34.5. USC team total over 32.5. Iowa, Kentucky under 31.5. So interesting. I have Iowa, Kentucky under 31.5. I have Georgia by itself team total over 34.5. I have USC team total by itself over 32.5. San Francisco minus 9.5. Cincinnati plus 1. That is this week's Phatts Phantastic Phive.
Woo!
Look at us going over an hour and a half now. Holy Jesus.
Yeah, so much for making something for dinner tonight.
Your girlfriend should be cooking.
I told her to cook halfway through the show.
Yeah. Tell her. Get your ass into that kitchen, woman. Get your ass into that kitchen.
By the way, it's 7-0 Tennessee.
Okay. All right, so that's going to do it for tonight's show. Undecided whether we're going to do a Tuesday show yet. I may be stuck at work kind of late Tuesday, so we might skip this Tuesday. But we'll definitely do a show next Friday. So, from all of us here at Phatts TV, have a safe, happy, healthy New Year's Eve. Please do not drink and drive, because remember, the life you save may be mine. It could be. Even though I plan on sitting on my couch watching TV. The life, I mean, I guess.
I like my Saturday night too.
All right, everybody, we will see you either next Tuesday or next Friday. I mean, you may even have a sports game next Tuesday. I don't think you do, but you might.
Oh no.
We'll check it. I don't think Penn State basketball is home on Sunday, so
Yeah, and wrestling is on the weekend.
yeah. So yeah, you probably don't have anything Tuesday. All right, we'll see you. Keep watching on the Phatts TV Facebook page for our next show. Happy New Year, everybody. See ya.